The year 2019 cast a shadow on the world with another human killer, COVID-19. In a similar trend to the rest of the world, Uganda announced a lockdown on the 18th day of March, the year that followed. School closure ensued 2 days later. In quest to salvage schooling time, the government of Uganda and the World Bank engaged with a homeschooling initiative to keep learners in the system a different way. In the rollout, learning over the radio, TV and home study materials took emphasis. After a period of over 80 weeks of school closure, the government through the Ministry of Education and Sports and the World Bank moved to assess how this initiative has impacted learning. Radio is the country's main channel of information. A 2015 BBC survey revealed that over 87% of the country's household owned a radio set. So it was a good channel to reach the masses, even to those in remote Uganda.
It was one way of curbing down the too much laxity in the village. We conducted some few lessons on radio, and it was an initiative from our area MP, that is Nabanja Robina, and also through lobbying through the district COVID task force. Some teachers came and lessons were conducted, and we could get response from learners that really they were listening. Most of the learners whom we consulted could really follow what the teachers were teaching, and some learners could tell us that they had jumped some of the topics in different classes, so it was a chance.
She got some lessons on the radio.
Which radio?
It was Radio West and Millennium Voice in Isindi.
To learners, the teacher-pupil interaction was broken, but lessons were easy to follow. TV learning allows a visual interaction. The classroom was brought home, especially to those in urban settings. About 20% of the country's population stays in urban areas.
Because you see, when the teacher is calculating the calculation, you see how he or she is calculating.
So what do you do when you have a question to ask that teacher on TV?
I just call her or him.
On phone?
On phone. No, after.
Some serious students, whenever they get the chance, like a TV, a radio, a what, they have to utilize it maximum. But then we have the other category of students who are not very serious.
Some parents, ahead of electricity bills and TV subscription, took an extra effort and let their children make phone calls for clarity after every session.
So I give them airtime and call the teacher on the TV and ask them questions and corrections like that.
Households embraced more the idea of study materials. Government mandated their distribution to individual schools that passed them to their learners. A large majority of stakeholders in affirmative, the materials were well simplified to allow self-reading. Even when there is a hardship, assistance is easier to seek.
Like in chemistry, when I go there and I find something that I don't know, I call my older sister and she helps me.
My sister usually consults me, but I also find some hard time because I can hardly remember those senior 3 questions. I sometimes don't remember, but the ones which I can try to remember usually help her.
Of course, as a student, we came to teachers to know more. We can say that they are very simple to us to know more than how we could be having the teachers.
I want to take this opportunity to thank whoever could have been behind this. The books, first of all, were having good and clear content, brief as I can say, simple.
Those who compiled these study materials, at least I think they must be teachers, and when it comes to teachers, they know the levels of the learners.
Caring parents have enabled the process more by allowing a balance between home chores, playtime, and study time.
So I prepare breakfast. After taking it, I take some rest. Then after lunch, I start revising till night.
I made them timetable. I first made timetable, but this from 7 to 9. That one is for homework, like cooking food, cooking drinks, portion, cleaning. Then from 9 to 1 p.m. that one is for reading.
And the expectation is very high, and I'm very much sure that when schools will reopen, our learners in the Kazo district will not be that category from somewhere very far. They will be students, they will be learners who are very near to school.
Some schools didn't call off duty completely. St. Catherine's SS in Kazo district kept its library open for learners in the near community to keep accessing reading materials.
Some teachers who are with us, who stay in the staff quarters, have also been able at least to use them to assist the learners who stay around. They study from 8 up to 1. So from 2 to 4:30, they help them at least to do their projects or their coursework.
As a new venture that was urgently needed, it has materialized with a line of challenges, stretching from material insufficiency to poor households that can't afford a radio set.
The challenge I am seeing is the limited supply of the home study materials. Then another one is the abrupt coming in of the lockdown, because if we knew, we would have prepared enough materials. But for O level, it is a different story, because the students are many and they are scattered, and some are, when they went home, they got involved in other activities.
Some of our children had actually lost hope. But these books are trying to remind them that there is still learning. There is learning that is supposed to continue despite being in lockdown.
On radio, if you're writing, that is very speedy. Even on TVs, if you're writing,
wandika tosobola kubitegeera nyongo nga bwe bitegeera mu bitabo. Oluusi baba batambulira ku speed. Sometimes you use it to your teacher. So now watching on the TV, staying there watching the same thing, it's also boring, but it's what we have to do.
If the government can organize maybe a workshop or sort of a seminar, so that these teachers are trained to teach through media, because teachers were used to teach face to face. So this was a new initiative, so some of them could not do it properly.
Special needs education is also faring on well. Government distributed a variety of materials from brailled books to speech devices, and learning has relatively kept afloat.
Opening file. Please wait. Primary 4 science lesson. Parts of a flowering plant.
People from the Ministry of Education, the Special Needs Department, have been coming here delivering the materials. And academically we tested them and we found out they are still remembering, they are learning how to read. Another one, our teachers remained in the system because all the time the Ministry of Education and Sports, mainly the Special Needs Department, have been inviting them for different workshops.
Every effort to continue learning is greatly appreciated and has in one way or the other impacted in a time when education would have come to a halt. The Ministry of Education and Sports is appreciative to its development partners that have always supported in times of uncertainty.